You are now listening to the iWalter Show. Real talk about nothing.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird brain. It's a plane. It's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Alrighty, this is iWalter. Hey, you know what? It's already Thursday morning. It's hard to believe. This week has gone so fast. You know what? I guess the highlight of my day actually was, I'm going to make sure I turn off my box, is to see that Obama's approval rating is at 45%, and his disapproval rate is at 52%. It's actually higher than, as much as people mocked President Bush, his weren't even that low by the time he left office. So, yeah, that was definitely the highlight of my day. Yeah, I heard this on Rush today, and I had to look for an article on that, amongst other things I put on my Facebook page. And I don't know, it just looks awfully weird, but it's about Caitlyn Jenner, and they're comparing him, because Rush mentioned this today, they're comparing him to Jessica Lange, like a younger version of Jessica Lange. And, I mean, Jessica Lange is not as attractive as she was years ago. Like, I'm talking like late 70s, I think, or maybe it was early 80s when I went and seen the remake of the movie King Kong, because I went to go see it for one of my birthdays. I think actually I was only a tween at that point when that came out, so it had to be like probably earlier 70s. And it's just something about his face just looks really bizarre. It looks like not even real. But I wouldn't compare Caitlyn's face now, because he's not called Bruce, to Jessica Lange. You know, I don't know where they got that comparison from, but they're going with that. So, yeah, that just was kind of disturbing in itself. I'm just going through some stuff that I had posted, partially what friend Todd had posted. There was actually this really weird article. It's not even funny. I don't know why I'm laughing. It was on the Dreamin' Demon. I'm just going to read the titles again. I just lost it. Well, I always do. Family beat pregnant teen until she aborted, and then they burned the remains of the charcoal on the charcoal grill is the name of the title. This was in Dallas, Texas. I apologize. And it says the family member, apparently, I assume it's the family member basically had beaten to the point that the girl would have an abortion, a 14-year-old daughter. So, yeah, you'll find some really bizarre stories on Dreamin' Demon, I'll tell you that much. I'll have to give credit, though. This one guy, I'm going to have to look, because he puts up some really good stuff. Really disturbing, but very good stuff. I'm making sure I'm getting, I think it's this friend, on my friends list on Facebook. I think might be this guy. I hope I'm getting the right guy, Mark Brown. He's a friend of a friend, I guess, so to speak, maybe even more. And he puts up some really cool stuff. It's just really bizarre. I mean, you can see, because I'll repost. If it's Mark, apologize if it's not. But I usually just, some of the more wild stuff I'll get off his webpage and just repost it. Yeah, because it's like I share my get. There is one, it's called Shay St. John is the Tony Clifton of the internet era, and is about this person who dresses up like a rubber doll. I swear to God, it's really bizarre. And again, I might have gotten off. It says, I'm trying to figure out if it is Mark, because he also had something. He shows like these horror films and stuff, or puts posts up, like necrophilia, Passion, slipcase DVD, nearly sold out. So these are like really bizarre stuff that he puts up. And most of it is definitely bizarre, but it's actually kind of interesting. I mean, if you have a bad day and you just want to blow some steam off, I guess, so to speak, in a harmless way, you definitely check out his link. I'm just trying to see. I apologize. I keep on saying I apologize. Hey, I'm trying to work on, maybe I might make another bumper. I'm not sure yet. I waste a lot of money on the ones I have. I'd hate to waste even more money, but they just basically pretty much to entertain myself. You know what? The next time, if I can't find it this time, and I'll either confirm it or not, if it's this guy, Mark Brown. Whoever it is, he puts some really cool stuff up. But you have to have like a dark side to you to enjoy it, I guess, so to speak, because it is pretty dark. But I always get a kick out of it. So, I think it is Mark Brown. I'm just trying to look. Give me a minute. I hate doing this when I'm on live, but I am going to do it, Mark Brown, and see if he comes up. Yeah, it might be, but it actually might be somebody else too. His is more metal-based stuff. He's a really cool dude, though. He's got some cool stuff on his page. I'll say that much. Because I'm into like the science fiction horror. There is another guy too. I'll have to figure out who it is. I go around on what I like. You know, I go from one extreme to the other, I guess I should say. Hey, if anybody's interested, I don't want to really read into it for my own reasons too. It was an article on comicbookmovie.com, and it says, spoiler, if you read any further, and it's titled, Find Out How the Bat Plans to Take Down the Supes and Superman versus Batman versus Superman and Dawn of Justice. So it's like a spoiler alert type article. You will find a lot of that stuff on the comicbookmovie.com website. So I didn't want to really read it because I'm going to try to hold out at least on that. I found an actually interesting story today, funny. Fortunately, it is on the Huffington Post, and it's titled, High School Baseball Teammate Allegedly Has Sex with Sandwich on School Bus. So I really didn't quite want to read it. Just the titles kind of just, are good enough for me on a lot of this stuff because I just think they're entertaining. I mean, I can just, obviously I've done that. I can make a whole series just on the names of these titles of these stories. I mean, if it's something really good, then I will read further into it. Anyway, this was posted from the guy, I can't remember his name besides Mark Brown, but he also puts up pretty cool stuff, but this time it wasn't from this person, I can't remember their name. It's actually, it was a link that I found, it was actually, I'm trying to look for it now, freepatriotpost.com. And this somebody else had put up like about a week ago. I mentioned it. So it was brought up again. And it says, Rockstar claims to attend a snuff party where people paid up to $100,000 to watch people get murdered. And it's, I think it says Ralph Rickerman. He used to be in some band. I can't remember which one it was. But, yeah, they kind of reposted it. They don't really specify either, I guess. Yeah, I don't see. He was in some band, pretty popular band, too. they're not really saying on this article. I did mention it before. So here is a kind of creepy one I found. It's actually from OpposingViews.com. It's got a video attached. It says, neighbor's death discovered after man finds blood on his wall. Like this guy with his kids, this older man with his kids, noticed that there was like the walls were literally bleeding. Like blood was coming down the walls, and the guy said, oh, I would wipe the wall and more blood would come down. So he called the police. He lives in an apartment, and it was the person above him. And apparently when I read it earlier, what I gathered from it, whoever was above him died, like he must have died of natural causes. The guy above whose blood it was basically was coming down the walls. And the creepy thing was, they thought that he died from natural causes, but he maybe had a heart attack or something. I'm not really sure. But apparently he gashed his head when he died. Like he must have fell over. And when he fell over, he bashed his head, and the blood from his, I assume his forehead was going down. I mean, it's not even funny, down the wall. And it was bleeding into the next apartment. So this guy kept on wiping the wall, and more blood came, and it's, obviously it creeped out his kids, the guy below. So he calls the cops. They find out this guy, probably above him, died of natural causes. And when he, died, he knocked his head on a wall. Now, you would think that if he died, that the blood would, kind of get hard. I can't think of the right word. Like rigor mortis would have to set it after a while, but he must have been bleeding for quite a while. I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of weird. It was an interesting story. Again, it was on Opposing Views. And I want to see if I can find a name of that story in case anybody wants to read further into it and try to make sense out of my nonsense. It says, neighborhood's death discovered after man finds blood on his wall. And there's a video. Again, so if you want to read, it's a very short story. I just don't really want to botch it up. It's best if I put it in my own words. I think that's even what Rush says he does. He puts things, I mean, anybody can, quote unquote, he said anybody can read a story, but the thing is you want to put in your own words, and that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, this one was on Opposing Views, too. I actually posted my Facebook page. I'd rather not acknowledge it, but it just caught my eye again, unfortunately. And it's titled, Teens Throw Cat in Washer Machine as Punishment for Not Using the Litter Tray. And it was from another country. So, folks, they put this poor cat through the rinse cycle, and it's one of those front-loader washer machines. I don't know what nationality works. I couldn't quite make it out. It was not in this country, I don't think. But, yeah, they sucked this poor cat in the wash machine, and the poor cat was crying as they show the video. At least the part that you can hear, they blur out the cat being put through the rinse cycle of this front-loading wash machine. But they were laughing as this poor cat was, like, crying for help. And they put the cat through the whole wash cycle. Thank God the cat didn't die. But, yeah, that's really cruel. Yeah, I was not happy about that story, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, it's just, I wanted to mention about work, too. I was just making sure I didn't miss anything from the day before. They're making a Lego Big Bang Theory set, Lego block sets. They did that for, actually, which they're really expensive. You can find them. They also did that for Breaking Bad, but now they're doing one for the Big Bang Theory, the whole set with like little Lego figurines of the characters on the show. There's one thing I wanted to mention. I'm waiting till last because I get tired of TV. Like I like a lot of older TV shows, and then after a while it's like I need to kind of change it up a little bit. So at work today, I didn't have anything to do because I mentioned, which I'm not going to mention where I work, simply because I don't want to get in trouble. Unfortunately, I may have it posted on, which I'm going to have to make sure I don't, the place of my employment on my Facebook page, because that could get me in trouble too, especially if I mention it right as I am now, indirectly, that I work at a particular job. So anyway, my job, I might have mentioned in the past, I don't specifically say what I do because I just don't want to get in that amount of trouble or get fired. I don't like the job, but it pays really well. It's got great benefits. I get 4 weeks of vacation at this point. I've been there for a long time. So, and that took, trust me, it had taken quite a few years to get that much vacation time. But I can't stand the job because the people just don't like me, and that does not, I mean, you go to a job, you spend 3/4 of your life at a job, and people just dislike you for one reason or another, or they think you're a narc, or you don't fit in with their beliefs. I've established that I have definitely been the one wearing the scarlet letter, the one who has been completely ostracized at my job, including by supervisors and higher ups. So, it's just, the thing is, when people push me more, I push back even harder. So, and to the point that it will cost me my job probably eventually. So, anyway, I had bronchitis for about a good 2 weeks that I could not talk. Unfortunately, I think I got it when I was down at a convention in New Jersey, and because it was either I was in a really bad hotel that was dirt cheap, or I was walking, it was Atlantic City, and I was walking the boardwalk at nights because it's like, okay, this is the only time I'm going to be able to do this. So, I paid for parking in Atlantic City. There's a lot of casinos. I don't gamble. And I had like a couple homeless people walking the boardwalk came up to me and asked me for money and stuff. And I have an assumption I either got it from one of them, or I don't mean it in an offensive way, or I got it from the hotel I stayed in. They were very nice people where I stayed, but it had changed hands like twice within a short period of time. And I don't think the new owners really went through the hotel and cleaned it up properly. It looked clean, but it was right before I left that I was only there for 2 days, too, in Atlantic City for this comic convention to see Kevin Smith, that I lost my voice. I had no voice at all. So anyway, it made me lose a whole week's worth of work. I had to say, I'm sorry. I had to call in every day and tell them, listen, I can't come to work. I don't want to spread my bronchitis, which I actually now had given to both my parents. First my mother, and my mother gave it to my dad. They can't talk now, and they're always hacking and coughing. I had to go to the doctor twice, 2 different doctors, to get medicine. That's how bad it, because they're older. They're much older than me, obviously. So, anyway, I come back to work. It was about, 7 days. Well, 7 days would include yesterday, was my 7th day. And the place that I work was a disaster, so to speak. I work by myself. I work night times at my job. I'm considered what's called second shift. We got 2 people on day shift, and they are constantly calling out for one reason or another, or they come in late, and they make up excuses for that. There's 2 different women, and it just, when I came back, I've heard from other people that don't work doing what I do, because I'm like, me and these other women are kind of like, basically we're janitors. We just basically clean up other people's messes. So, but these other 2 women leave most of the work, most of the time for me, or they're complaining that, Walter's not carrying his share of the weight, but there's reasons, there's certain things I just can't do. I have medical issues and stuff. I don't ask for them. It's just a fact. So, I was gone for a week. I come back, and there was some other people. They're not directly coworkers. They're not janitors. They actually do another type of manufacturing job came up to me, one in particular, and she said, this woman, not one of the women that are janitors like me, and this woman said, when you were gone, your other two partners that are on day shift didn't even bother to get trash. So they didn't get any trash until they were asked to do it. And they didn't clean up. Like, we get stuff that comes in like most factory jobs, even in retail, because I worked at this place called I Got It at Gary's. I done retail work, and I did stock work. So we have to do that too. We got to clean, and we got to clean in and bring certain types of stock for the people who do the manufacturing to do their job. So anyway, it piled up the week I was sick. I come back, and my supervisor said, well, don't worry about the cleaning. If you worked in retail before or any type of manufacturing job, and you work where things come in on skids or pallets, the area we call it a staging area, my supervisor said, oh, I'm glad you're back. I said, yeah, I'm sure you're not. And he says, no, I'm really glad you're back. He said it was a disaster area the week that I was sick. So I come back, and he says, well, the first thing you need to do is there is 40 pallets that piled up of stuff that needs to be brought to the proper place. And the places that we work in, most places, you got to work and keep things a certain a certain level of cleanliness, just so whatever you're working on manufacturing wise, you're not ruining your product. Again, it could be anything. I'm not going to tell you what we make, because I'll just leave it very open, and it could be bread, or it could be fill in some other type of product. I'm not going to tell you what it is. So, but it's a very important product that people depend on. And anyway, I got stuck doing this stuff. I was unable to do. So part of it might be my fault, not directly, but indirectly, that you need to make sure things you bring in for the people doing the manufacturing, that these skids, they're actually plastic skids. There's wooden ones we have where we don't use them where we do our manufacturing. We use plastic ones because they don't bring in dirt, or they don't breed. You wouldn't think it wouldn't breed like infestations or bugs or anything like that. Well, unfortunately, the areas where I bring in supplies for the people who do the manufacturing, those areas got infected. And they got infected by these things called red mites. They're little spider-like ticks. And once they start taking over an area, they infest pretty heavily around everything. And if the areas that I deliver things to were properly cleaned when I was gone, this wouldn't have been a problem. Things that I had to work with, these pallets or skids of supplies, if they were cleaned properly, it wouldn't have been an issue. But the areas I had to bring stuff to different people who do different types of manufacturing, I didn't get enough time for the amount that I was left with for the week I was sick. Basically made these areas now infected. So we are out of commission. So I don't have anything to clean until they deal with the infestation of these microorganisms that have now taken over. And there's a couple areas I actually found them on myself, because they like to jump on things or jump on you and stuff. Now, we wear uniforms, and I noticed if you step on one, they will basically, it's like red dye on whatever if you squash them. So I squashed a few, and I found this red marks all over my uniform, so I had to change them out. And it worries me because we have locker rooms. I heard the locker rooms were getting infested by these microorganisms. So it kind of bothers me because I live with my parents, and it concerns me because it's bad enough I gave them bronchitis, both of them, But now I have to worry about infesting the house with these microorganisms, which I brought home from work. It could be a strong possibility. So that didn't make me happy. The only thing that came out of it that was good, though, folks, is that I had downtime tonight because there was really nothing I could do until they get exterminators in there and they get this situation under control. Right now, it is not under control. It's a little bit, but I think they're just trying to keep people from really panicking. So I'll see what happens, but I have a feeling this infestation could take weeks. I would say at the least, if not longer. So anyway, I had plenty of downtime, and I'm there if they need me. They can just get me, but they didn't tonight, so I was kind of happy in that way. I don't like bringing home infestations and infesting my my personal belongings at home or my parents' house. So that part didn't make me happy. But anyway, since I had time, I have Netflix and I have some other things, and I wanted something different. And I know the place I work, when I get really bored and I get tired of everything, of the norm, I just basically, I hate to say this, but I end up watching some of those Disney shows, those Nickelodeon shows, because they're actually entertaining. They're a lot less harmful to adults than most of the crap that's on TV. So I don't mind doing that. And I find them very funny, because I remember years ago I worked in some daycare center cleaning. Again, I was doing janitorial work, and it was, it doesn't really matter. I shouldn't really say. And the kids were cute. I had a good time with them. They had fun with me when I came in and I started cleaning. I usually have to wait till they were ready to go home, and then you started, cleaning clean up their areas, filling their supplies, their toilet paper, soaps, paper towels, cleaning their floors, shampooing if they had accidents, because these were little kids. These were preteens. But their big thing was I didn't understand, and I had a partner work with me. They loved Hannah Montana. Miley Cyrus. So I was like, what is it about this whole Miley Cyrus thing these kids love? So I had a partner that I worked with, and as a joke one time, because I had, cable access on my personal computer, I would just bring to work on my breaks. And I would jump into Netflix and was like, I made him watch Hannah Montana. And it was like, he was like, oh, no, don't do this to me or something. Or he kind of liked it too. But as it would turn into a joke, actually, I started watching the show when I got home. It was like, this show is actually really funny. So, and there was a couple other Disney shows, like when I'm down the shore or something, because I flip through the channels. If there's cable on the boxes down the shore, if I go down to Cape May, that's where my parents and I go, or Wildwood, wherever. Most of the regular TV was never really that good. And I get my own room. I flip through the channels, and I remember one time I actually caught, embarrassingly enough, I caught the Jonas Brothers, and was like, yeah, this reminds me of growing up and watching that show called The Monkees. It was almost kind of like the same paradox. I mean, it was a paradox. It was almost like the same idea. And I really liked that. I thought that was funny. And there, like I said, Hannah Montana, there's some really talented young kids on those shows. But there was a new show. I remember I glanced through, flipping through the channels. I never really watched. I was like, okay, I got all this downtime. I'm going to check it out. And it's a show called Live and Maddie is the name of the show. The girl's really cute. She's got kind of almost like the TV mom's really cute. She's like a MILF mom, I would say, almost. I'm trying to pull this up, and it's not working. Okay, yeah, it's called Liv and Maddie. Now, the interesting thing that kind of caught my attention why I had to watch this, because I remember hearing about this, like, this can't be true. So I had to watch a couple of shows, and then I was like, this show's actually pretty good. It gets really annoying. It's a Disney show. And I was talking to a woman I talk to every night when I leave work, and she's got a grandchild. And she says, "Oh, my daughter won't let her daughter watch these because she's the age bracket that these kids they're trying to shoot for on Disney to watch these shows, like Hannah Montana, what was it, iCarly, and now this Liv and Maddie. There's a whole bunch of other shows. Now, I'm talking going between Disney and Nickelodeon. But a lot of these shows, believe it or not, they're too mature for, which is ironic, because they're too mature for like preteens, and that's the audience they're going for on these shows. They're meant for preteens. So, but I'm too old to watch these shows, so it's kind of like an irony, because these shows are designed for preteens, but they're too young to watch them. And I've heard this more than once that, like, even when I worked at that daycare, after a while, there were certain moms who did not want their kids to watch Hannah Montana. The woman I'm talking about, who has a granddaughter, she says her daughter won't even let her watched, because it's not on anymore, shows like iCarly, probably Victorious, because they were designed for preteens, but they're actually more for like young adults or older teens. They're not really meant for the age bracket they're shooting for, because their contents is kind of like a little bit too much for a little kid to watch, which is kind of funny. So anyway, the reason I picked that particular show was because the one actress, because I really thought it was two different people, the one actress plays two parts side by side, like literally next to each other. She plays a twin of there's two twins. The show Liv and Maddie is about these two twins, these two blonde-haired 15-year-old girls. Well, it's played by the exact same actress. Now, she's 19 now. That's still young. But, I mean, I tipped my hat, so I was like, okay, I'm kind of interested. I'm like, if I can figure this out, because you usually use what's called green screen. I've used it before, but not to its perfection. So I had to look up some, shows. How did they do this? And they won't tell you. They will not tell you how they do it. So anyway, I ended up watching like almost 3/4 of the first season, because it's only 22 minutes. Now, the thing is, they got the one actress who plays two people. They're twins. She plays both twins, because there's only one person. And it really looks like two different people. And she plays them completely different. And then they got two stunt girls who plays the back head, if they show like the back of one, and then just showing her playing one of the characters, one of the twins or the other twin. So they got a job, but the girl has to basically, and she shoots it in front of a live audience. She shoots, I assume, all her parts of the one character while the stunt person stands in. Then they green screen her playing the other character, and they're doing this in front of a live audience with other actors. So, I mean, I couldn't do that. And she's got every line down, like, perfectly, that you can't even tell that she's actually having to go back and forth, because they obviously have somebody stand in, but still, your way of saying the lines aren't going to be the same as your stunt double, so when they overlap your face as the other person, I know I'm not making much sense, because they're basically, because I've tried this before, and it's really, really hard, that you have somebody say the lines of your other character, then they green screen that on top of that person who's playing your other character, and then vice versa. So you can easily mess up, and you got, I think, how many other cast members, at least at any given point, it could be a full set of 20 people to 5 people, so that makes it even more complex. But the girl actually does it. Now, it looks like the show was only on for 2 seasons. They say it's still continuing, but I would assume that's got to burn that actress out, that actor. They don't say actress anymore. I know it would burn me out just trying to watch the shows and figure out how do they do this, because it is so precisely clean, and there's scenes that somehow, I mean, I know it's done with green screen, but I've never seen it done that well before, where she's literally not only in the same frame as her other self, but she's like standing behind her other self. And it looks very convincing. I mean, you can't see any lines or any overlap, and it is done so well. So I give that show a lot of credit for that. That's what really intrigued me, because I went to school for communications. Anyway, my show's like really long. It's going to be like 40 minutes tonight. I didn't mean to go off in this much on this show. It's LIV for Liv, and then it's Maddie, Maddie. I think it's a really interesting show. It's a bit annoying. I mean, it is a teenage, young adult show, but sometimes I just need a change of pace. And it definitely broke up my night. It really did. I thought it was really entertaining. I'm going to go through whatever's left. I think there's only which is a lot. I think there's like 42 episodes, 43 episodes, something like that. But you know what? Yes, it is irritating, but it is very complicated show. Now, that's funny because she has this one kid, this one actor who plays her brother. I think it's like her older brother or her younger brother. The kid's kind of like has a character actor face. But I'm telling you, though, they could actually use him because they're remaking every movie now. If they ever would make a remake of Christine, he would look just like, very similar at least, to the actor who played in the movie Christine based upon Stephen King's book. Like, this kid would be the person, if I was going to pick somebody, like, okay, I'm going to make a remake of Christine, that kid would be on the top of my list. I don't know the actor's name. I might even have to look that up since I mentioned, because I actually forgot her name as well. The main actor. Yeah. Let's see. I got that real quick. Sorry about that. Dove Cameron is her name. So she's a really good actor. I'll tell you that much. She can sing too. Yeah, I mean it's she does a really good job. Yeah, they're all really good actors. Now, the one who plays her brother, the character name is Joey Rooney. Her name is Liv Rooney and Maddie Rooney. So she actually plays two different characters. They really did a good job of putting these people together. And I tip my hat because the job that she has of playing twins and playing both of them is just incredible. I was just trying to look for this guy's name, too, because I think he's really good, the one who plays the brother. And let's see if I can find it. Yeah, it's ironic. They don't go too far with his name. It's Joey Bragg. Her name is Dove Cameron. Kelly Roca. It's Kelly Roca plays the mom. Benjamin King plays the father. And his last name is Trainer. So I don't know if he's related to that Megan Trainer, because I think he looks more Hispanic, though. Plays like the little brother. He's really good, too. These kids are really, really talented. I haven't seen many shows where I say that about these kids being that, But she's got the hardest role because she plays two characters again. So, I mean, it's not at all easy. I know I saw interviews with her before, and it was like I never thought about it, like flipping through the channels, like, okay, here's that show about these twins. I really thought they were twins, too. Now, they said they based this show off of some Disney movie from years ago, where, not based it, but it's the same premise, where they did the exact same thing. But this was back in the 60s, I think. There was a Disney movie, which, I thought they were actual twins, because I remember about this movie. I mean, it might even been before the 60s. It may have even came out before I was born, but it was a Disney film. And it was with these two twins, which I never knew. But then I saw with this Liv and Maddie, the making of, that they said, oh, yeah, this was an idea Disney had years ago for this movie where these two twins were actually the same actor, this young girl, and she had to play both parts. And they made a movie out of it. And I swear to God, that was incredible, because this is before this movie, which I can't remember the name of. It's on one of the things. If you look up Liv and Maddie, the making of, you'll find out the name of this movie that was made years ago, like 40 years ago. This actress actually played two different part. She played they were supposed to be twin sisters, with actually one actor. And that was another one. It was like, I never knew. I really thought that this movie back 40 years ago, or whatever it was definitely 40 some years ago, that it was actually, they hired two twins. No, they didn't. They just actually had one actress. I'm going to say actress. It's easier for me to say that. Playing two parts. So, you know what? Disney actually has a lot of good ideas. Unfortunately, though, I've noticed they kind of recycle their premise on a lot of their shows. Because, if you watch enough of these Disney shows, even Nickelodeon, because that's actually, Nickelodeon is technically, in my opinion, is owned by MTV. Because I don't know if people knew this, but Nickelodeon came out of MTV, which came out in New York. And then they moved. Nick and MTV were originally both from the East Coast, and MTV was in New York, and then MTV started Nickelodeon, which they had down in Florida. I think it was Orlando, Florida. Then they basically packed up and they moved everything, because I remember there was one show I was watching on Nick. It was called Victorious, and that was shot out in L.A. That was shot in California, and Burbank. I believe it was Burbank, because Burbank is basically Hollywood. And it was like, okay, and I remember when I went up to New York like the last year or so, I was like, hey, I want to see where MTV is, at least. That's closer than going to where they used to have Nickelodeon. And it was like, well, they picked up and they moved everything, even the offices of MTV. That's all out in Burbank. That's out in Hollywood. And they did the same. They moved everything out from Orlando for Nickelodeon out to the West Coast, because that whole conglomeration is owned by MTV. That's all the same umbrella. So anyway, Disney obviously was always out in the West Coast, but by moving everything else out to the West Coast, moving Nickelodeon, which is owned by MTV, out to the West Coast. A lot of those actors were able to go somehow, I guess, because I would assume they're different networks, as far as I know, but they were able to go from one show to the next. Like, they could go, basically the actors had more jobs they could get, like these younger actors. They could get, a part on a TV show from Nickelodeon and then go over to Disney, or vice versa. So I thought there would be something that they couldn't do that, but from what I've seen, they've done that. So it's kind of interesting, because that's something I've always wanted to get my feet wet in, or get some roots in some part of entertainment, no matter what it was. I wouldn't even care. But that's just my little spiel on that. Yeah, I'm sorry for being long-winded tonight, folks. This is a little longer than normal. But I hope you enjoyed it. You know what? I probably, before I talk too much longer and lose people's interest, I'm going to let it go with that. I try to keep an open mind and watch more than just, I don't go with that. I don't like to... you're 40 years old now, you're 50 years old, you need to be settled in, you need to act this way. Well, that's fine and dandy, and that doesn't go with my belief in politics, because I am a conservative, but doesn't mean I follow all the conservative ways, if that makes any sense. Because, if you follow being a Republican and a conservative, I should have established being married, having kids, and having my own place to live, and not be living with my parents. But I am I work at my own pace. I don't follow what everybody else does. I do my own thing, and if people don't like it, that's too bad. So anyway, again, I'm pretty long-winded tonight, so I'm going to cut it off. I will sign off for tonight, and I Only have 2 days left this week, and another weekend is upon us. So, and you know what? I made a mistake. I thought it was this coming Saturday. I tell everybody I'm going to go see Taylor Swift. That's actually not until next Saturday. So, and I'm hoping to do another trip also to Amish country. And actually, I was hoping maybe just do a podcast, if they wouldn't mind, with some of the people that are Amish. That would be pretty neat. But again, I just want to sign off for now. I'm hoping I didn't bore too many people. It's really difficult to keep people's attention and actually get proper mic levels. I keep on changing them, so you might notice that. So I said I was going to sign off, and I talked for another 15 minutes. So guess what? I am signing off because it's like almost 4 o'clock my time on the East Coast, 4 a.m. So I will try to think of things to talk about tomorrow, and everyone have a good morning, Thursday morning.